Welcome to Hartman Math. This is lesson 6.5, Right Triangle Trigonometry, Part 3. Today we're going to focus on finding missing angles. Just a reminder of connecting back to the definitions of our trig functions, where sine is opposite divided by hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent divided by hypotenuse, tangent is opposite divided by adjacent, where we're looking at given a particular angle, or maybe this is the one that we're going to try to find. This is considered to be the opposite leg. This is the adjacent leg, and that's the hypotenuse. Example number 1, find the measure of angle P and round to 2 decimal places. So here's our focus. This is essentially our theta. This is the angle in question. So the two sides that we know are going to dictate the trig function that we're going to use. So we've got 7.2, which is the adjacent leg, and we've got opposite the right angle, the 9, that's the hypotenuse. We've got adjacent and hypotenuse, A and H. So we're going to talk about cosine of our angle. We don't have a given angle. We're talking about finding the measure of angle P. So we have cosine of P is equal to 7.2 divided by 9. We're trying to solve for P. That means that we need to get rid of cosine. Cosine is not a number, so we're not allowed to subtract it or divide it or anything like that because it's not a number. It's a function. So we have to get rid of it, we have to do the inverse function. Well, if you've looked at your calculator, we know what inverse function notation looks like f looks like an exponent -1 of x. Well, if you look at your calculator, right underneath or right above the cosine button, it'll say cosine -1. That's the inverse function. That's the one that we want. If we do inverse cosine to both sides, we're going to get P by itself. P is equal to inverse cosine, which is going to undo the cosine of the 7.2 divided by 9. Before we use our calculator, though, once again, make sure it's in degree mode, because we're looking to get these angles in degrees as our measure. So now that we have it set up, we're ready to do the calculator. We're going to go find this function, which means generally, for most calculators, pressing the second cosine to get this probably opens parentheses for you. Now we can just do 7.2 divided by 9. Hit equals, we're going to round to 2 decimal places, and it is an angle. So we're going to say that the measure, that's how we do this, the measure of angle P is approximately 36.87. Don't forget your degree symbol, degrees. Go ahead and try this one. Pause here until you're ready. All right, so our setup, again, we're trying to find the measure of angle P, which is here. We've got this time, the 7.2 is opposite. So we've got an O, and the 9, once again, is hypotenuse. So we've got opposite and hypotenuse, O and H, and that's going to be sine. Sine of P is equal to 7.2 divided by 9. To undo the sine, we want to do sine inverse to both sides. That will get rid of sine. We'll get P equals sine inverse of 7.2 over 9. We're ready to use the calculator. Second sine to get the inverse function, 7.2 divided by 9. We should get the measure of angle P is approximately 53.13 degrees. I'll disregard that. This time we're finding the measure of angle T, round to 2 decimal places. So this is our angle in question. We've got sides of 36 and 25. Let's figure out what they are. 36 is one of the legs. It's touching the T, so that's adjacent. This is opposite the T. We've got opposite, we've got adjacent, we've got O and A. That sounds like tangent. Tangent of T is equal to opposite divided by adjacent. That's our setup. Tangent of T is equal to 25 divided by 36. Undo tangent by doing the inverse. T equals tangent inverse of 25 over 36. Ready to go with the calculator. Second tangent, 25 divided by 36, hit equals. We're going to say that the measure of angle T is about 34.78 degrees. Your turn. Pause here. Trying to find the measure of angle T. This time our known sides are right next to the T, adjacent, opposite of the right angle hypotenuse, A, H. So we're going to use cosine. Cosine of T is equal to adjacent 7 divided by hypotenuse 12. To get rid of cosine, let's do inverse cosine. So inverse cosine of both sides, T equals inverse cosine of 7 over 12, 7 divided by 12. Ready for calculator. Second cosine, 7 over 12. We get the measure of angle T is about 54.31 degrees. Example number 3. We've got a cell tower that is supported by wires. We can just focus on one of them though. That all attach 60 feet above the ground to the tower. The wires attached to the ground 42 feet away from the tower. What angle does the wire make with the ground? So let's sketch it first. Let's label with what we know. And maybe have a variable. We're trying to find an angle. Maybe use theta in our picture there. To go ahead and label everything. So pause here as you do your sketch, and then we'll figure out the rest of the problem. All right, here's what it looks like. You could have the tower end there. It doesn't matter, but we need to attach the wire 60 feet above the ground and 42 feet from the base. That's our theta. Angle does the wire make with the ground? Wire, ground, there's our angle theta. All right, so we've got, with that angle in mind, we know opposite, we know adjacent. O and A, it's a tangent problem. Tangent of theta is equal to opposite divided by adjacent. We're trying to solve for theta, undo and get rid of the tangent. We're going to do inverse tangent on both sides to get rid of the tangent, keep theta. Theta equals inverse tangent of 60 over 42. Calculator time. Second tangent of 60 divided by 42. We're going to round it to, as we typically do for these word problems, 1 decimal place. So that's going to be 55.0 degrees. That's our units here. Don't forget the degree symbol. That's the angle that we're making with the ground. Example number 4, Maria is flying a kite. She has let all of the 180 feet of string out, and the kite is at a height of 160 feet. What angle does the string make with the kite? String make with the ground. So sketch it. We want an angle, so maybe theta. We've got a 160, we've got a 180 in a right triangle. That's what we're looking for on the sketch. So pause until you're ready to check out the sketch. All right, here's Maria. There's her 180 feet of string, the height of 160, and this unknown angle right there. So let's see if we can figure out which trig function to write our equation based off of. We've got theta here, so opposite is the 160. 180 should be a right triangle. 180 is opposite the right angle, so that's the hypotenuse. Opposite hypotenuse, O and H, is sine. Sine of theta is 160 over 180. So that means that theta would have to equal, to get rid of sine, inverse sine of 160 divided by 180. Calculator second sine to get inverse sine of 160 divided by 180. We get that that angle is about 62.7 degrees. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.